Hello and welcome to Puppetry Chat. I'm Adam Kreutinger. Today we're going to be talking to the one and only John Jennings and talking about can we fix puppetry? And you're going to find out what that means in just a minute. All right, Mr. John Jennings, how you doing today, bud?
I'm good. I love how cute that animation is. I can't get over it.
Thanks so much. Yeah, no, I enjoy it. But I wanted to talk to you because we've been going back and forth on private messages about this for a while and talking about a problem that you've noticed in the puppetry world. And we've talked about privately ways that we can hopefully try to fix it. And I thought this may be a great topic to kind of bring into the puppetry community so we can all kind of work on it. And I think it's a problem that a lot of people may have noticed, but I thought you articulated it pretty well. Do you mind kind of talking to us about what you've noticed?
Yeah, I've just been noticing a lack of the style of puppetry that we focus on, that Muppet style, hand and rod puppetry, is missing so much from the forefront of the puppetry world and what people are consuming for this art form. That when I'm doing things out in the social media world and people are confusing me with other art forms, they're not accepting me as a puppeteer. They think I'm a furry, or they think I'm a different kind of puppeteer. They think I'm a ventriloquist, or someone who does marionettes.
Yeah,
and it's just interesting to me that the Muppet style is so far back in people's minds that at the forefront is like furries, ventriloquism, and all these other art forms.
Yeah, no, I definitely noticed that too, and especially with, I know how your TikTok has blown up in a lot of good ways. So you've had a lot more attention on it, which is probably what brought this more to your attention, is knowing how many of these, let's call them lay audience, that's what we call them in the magic world, the general public, when they see your videos, they don't just say, oh, look at this cool puppeteer, or look at this puppet. They think it's, like you said, a furry, or what was the other one you mentioned? Why is his mouth moving? The fact that they even have to ask that question begs the question on us, is like, why isn't the puppetry as an art form more prevalent that someone would want to ask that so often?
Yeah, it's really, I see more because I do the TikTok lives. That's when I get a lot of questions about ventriloquism and stuff.
Yeah,
but then I get more furry comments in my videos.
Yeah,
and I have nothing against the furry community at all.
Of course not. Yeah,
I'm just trying to clarify to people that I'm not a furry, that I'm not one. But I also wonder, because people do have an aversion to furries. I think it's just not something they're comfortable with. So at the same time, in the back of my mind, I'm wondering how many people are just avoiding my content in general because their initial thought is that I'm a furry. So then they automatically write me off and then are not interested in engaging.
I think part of maybe trying to find out what we can do is for thinking about why this may have happened for so many people. I think the first thing that comes to mind is because there are no famous living puppeteers to the general public that I can think of. The most famous one, of course, in mainstream media in the time was Jim Henson, who would come on himself with the puppet on late night talk shows and stuff. And that doesn't happen anymore. Now if Elmo goes to late night shows, it's just Elmo, and same thing with even Kermit now and other things, for reasons that I think are understandable. But because of that, people separate the artist from the art in puppetry more than they do with other art forms, I think, and especially, and there are some very mainstream ventriloquists. You look at someone like Terry Fader or Jeff Dunham, and the fact that we know their names first over their character names, makes it easier for them to again, when they call him Jeff Dunham to be on a late night show, they call Jeff Dunham. They don't say, oh, let's bring Walter on, right?
Yeah, it's always like Jeff Dunham and Walter, or Jeff Dunham and Peanut.
Exactly, which doesn't happen with mainstream puppet characters. They just invite the characters on. It's Sesame Street characters, and obviously that's nothing that we have control over, and it's something that I've talked about a lot about my growing up. Even I was so fooled by the Muppets that I never thought of them as being puppeteered. I just saw them as characters, right? Which is the goal. I mean, that's kind of what I was thinking about when thinking about this problem that you were telling me. Like, in a way, it's because the puppetry is done so well that you don't even realize that there is a puppeteer. So, like, in a way, it's kind of a problem that came out of a good quality work. Right? Maybe. I don't know. What do you think about some of that stuff?
Yeah, I do have a lot of people who come into my comments or come to my live streams. So when they see me, a common thread that I'm seeing from viewers and the audience is that my puppetry is so smooth. They have a hard time associating it with it being a puppet. They're like, wow, like the movement is so subtle and you have so many things in there. Like it's hard for me to associate with that character being a puppet. And then to go back with what you said about like Jim Henson being the name in Puppets and we don't have one. I remember like reading in the book, who was his like lawyer agent. I can't remember his name, but he was like the money man for them.
Oh yeah, I remember from the book. I don't remember.
Yeah. And him saying how important it was for Jim to be the face of the Muppets. Like he's the one who actually made Jim come out from behind the puppets and not just and like do interviews and talk and like get his name and his personality out there. And I think since Disney has taken over the Muppets, they're not about to have like Matt Vogel go out with Kermit in a late night show and
and to be fair enough, they don't really do that with any characters, do they? Even animated stuff. Like, sure, they'll have Tom Hanks on the couch. And it gets an example Cameron uses all the time. They'll have Tom Hanks on the couch to talk about the next Toy Story movie. But then again, there's a lot more to talk about with him beyond just Toy Story. Where again, you bring on a puppet character. I mean, you're really pretty much only going to talk about probably the show and do some some gags that are kind of horrifying. But no, that's a really interesting thing to bring up about why that happened originally with Jim Henson, I think.
Yeah, and now like I mean the biggest name that people would know would probably be Frank Oz, but he's kind of stepped away from the puppetry role and is doing.
Yeah, I have a theory too. Like in your mind, and again, this is just a guess. So if people have other answers, we'd like to see your answers in the comments. But who would you assume is probably to a mainstream audience the most known puppeteer who is still doing puppetry? So again, in that case, I wouldn't count Frank Oz because he's not really he's not in the way that we're.
I feel like every once in a while I still hear Kevin Clash's name, but I think that's because of the documentary that he did. Other than that, I've never really had somebody name a puppeteer.
Yeah,
like it's good for as long as Steve Whitmire did Kermit.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't know Steve Whitmire's name or associate him with Kermit at all.
Yeah,
like outside of the puppeteering community.
Yeah,
so there really isn't a prominent puppeteer that's not a it's not like a ventriloquist, like a standard puppeteer. I can't think of anyone.
I can think of one, but that's just I mean, but again, it's not that main. I mean, I would say John Tartaglia because he's probably the most known puppeteer, I would think, to a mainstream audience that actually knows his name, and that's just because of the way that Broadway works.
Yeah, I think I would still have to feed them Avenue Q for a lot of people to go, oh yeah, John Tartaglia.
For sure. That example is just to show you how far puppetry would have to work hard on associating the names with them, because the only reason people would even necessarily know his name associated with that work, I think, is because of the way that Broadway plasters the names of the actors on things in the way that puppetry things doesn't. And again, for reasons that I understand, they want to create. I mean, Kermit's not done by someone. Kermit is alive in the real world,
Yeah.
and things like that. And that's the way that a lot of these puppetry shows like to operate, even if they do it in a more subtle way. So I wonder, like, what can people do though? You think?
I've been trying, like, since I've joined the puppetry community, like I've been studying for 14 years, and I've noticed that like even over the years, there aren't a lot of people in this art form that are creating stuff and doing their own projects. I think I can count on one hand the number of people that I know out of the couple hundred that do this art form, who actively try and create and produce their own stuff. And a lot of them are doing it on their own. As like a one-man thing. And it's been surprising to me over the course of the 14 years I've been doing it, how little projects there are and how the community is fighting for the little projects that there are. But I'm of the mindset, like, create work to get work.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of it's hard to get people to embrace that mindset, or just to get them to do something in the field that just gets it in front of people's eyes. It's like pulling teeth. I find it really hard. I feel like if I'm not creating something, then I'm more likely to be a part of something if I'm creating it myself.
No,
I had an old web series called Flip Toppers, and I did Tipsy Kangaroo's Naughty Puppet Review, and then I had my morning talk show thing on Mixer, and now I'm doing a lot of TikTok stuff. Like, I'm always trying to create stuff to just make it more mainstream, and I'm having a hard time finding people who will join me on that journey.
You mean join you as in literally becoming part of your brand that you're doing, or you mean just
you don't literally have to join me? Just somebody who's is also like just trying to do their part to get puppets out there. Like it's hard to find people to just because like I've led groups like Tipsy Kangaroo's Naughty Puppet Review. Like I did all the writing and producing and directing and marketing and all that kind, and hosted it and performed in it. Like I've always been like the leader of every project that I've done. And you can of course celebrate successes and milestones with the people within your group, but what I've missed is being able to celebrate milestones and successes with other people who are being leaders. Like there's something to be said to like reach out to somebody on the other coast who's also doing a project and trying to get it out, and finding the leader of that group and being able to like rely on each other or commiserate with each other, or as someone who's a leader and I don't have other leaders to commiserate with, it can feel that much more lonely, even when you're hitting milestones.
No, absolutely. No, I mean, just having, other, again, like you said, even if they're not directly connected to your work, if they're just have a similar goal and doing quality work, it's nice to help lift each other up and also just, appreciate it. It's inspiring, and I think some people tend to get competitive over it, but I don't think, there's no room in the puppetry community for that. And if you're doing that, please don't. It's not worth it. But yeah, just like seeing what you're doing on TikTok, and I don't know him personally, but you might know him. I might say his name wrong. It's I'm looking at the name here, Chris Palmieri.
Chris Palmieri. I know of him. I don't really know him though.
Yeah, I don't really know him personally too, but I see him on TikTok. I think we're following each other, and I think he's doing great work too. And I'm so excited to see that. It's like, and again, what I like what he's doing, and what I like what you're doing, is that you do show yourself in there a lot. There's a lot of people that don't show themselves as puppeteers, and you don't have to. I know some people have good reasons why they don't want to, and they don't want to break that illusion and do that. But I think when you can, I think it does do some good for the art form as well, as long as you are doing quality work. I think it can help with what we're kind of talking about today.
Yeah, I try to tell, like, I have people come into the lives and they always want me to like duet their videos, and it's usually other puppeteers. I'm like, I have no qualms against supporting other puppeteers, of course, on helping do their stuff. But there is something to be said from the viewer standpoint where they like having a human anchor point in their content. I learned that from working at Disney. Like all the shows that I did at Disney had some sort of human element. There was never just a purely puppet show. There was always a human element that was like the connecting point between the puppet characters and the audience. And I do the same with my content on TikTok. Usually the duets and stuff or the collaborations I do are with humans. And it took me a while to actually just be myself on there. And then to start doing my own voice. Like I kind of was like slowly doing it. But now I'm definitely more comfortable with like, oh yeah, I can just throw in videos where it's just me sometimes and I don't have to always put the puppet there. But people really enjoy coming to the lives and seeing who I am and asking me questions about puppetry and the puppets and where I get them. And
I'm with you there too. And I think doing it with people makes it more because when you see two puppets duetting each other, not to say that it's never good, but I think you are then only catering to a puppetry audience. Where when you have a human and a puppet, you're potentially performing to a more general audience. And again, just to kind of bring it to the Muppets as an example, it's like I don't think there's any Muppet movies that don't have people in it.
Exactly.
Right?
Like
it's that same kind of thing.
Yeah, Sesame Street always had people. The Muppet Show always had a human guest. The movies have always had humans in it. Like I can't think of any purely other than like the Dark Crystal. I can't think of any Jim Henson project that was purely puppets. And even like the Dark Crystal was their lowest performing project. Like
but not only that, I was recently watching a documentary on that. The Gelflings, they were specific. I mean, they spent so much time designing those. They tried at first; they didn't look human enough, and then they started looking too human. And finding that line because they knew that those characters were going to be essentially the human catalyst, even though they're not technically human. They had to make sure they had enough human elements in it to really make it a little bit more relatable for the audience. Whether or not people think they achieved that is something else, but that was definitely their goal in it, and I think they did achieve it. So I always shoot for having a human element of some point, even if that human element is myself. And another thing on that too, with when he started talking about people asking you to duet their puppet videos, my brain went to another first place too, is where it's like oh, don't do that. Please, it's because I know you immediately try turning into a positive where it's like it's like supporting people and stuff, and it is, and it can be, but I'm huge on just like part of your content that you're creating is things that came from your mind. You duetted something because you were compelled to duet it. You saw it, were inspired. Someone asking you to do that is going off of brand for you. No, again, they can line up where they ask you and like, oh, this is perfect. This is something.
Oh God, I had one yesterday that was beautiful. Someone tagged me in it, and it was like, I don't know if you saw it. It's the Muppet Dance one.
Oh yeah, I saw that. It was hysterical.
Some girl like explains how all Muppets. Someone tagged me in that, and I went, yeah, like that was not one that I found. I just went, yes. But when people directly ask me to do
and just to be clear too, I was talking more with other puppets too.
Oh that's what I mean. Yeah, like when people come in, they want me to duet with puppets. I always tell them the same thing. I'm like, I want to do what I'm inspired by. I was like, so if I will look at your content, and if I feel inspired, or if I can think of a creative angle or something, then I will totally duet it. But I never guarantee anybody that I'm going to duet their stuff.
Yes, of course. Oh, can you hit like on this? It's like you don't want to ask people to like, them to like it. It's
or can I get a shout out? They'll ask for that in my live streams, and I'm like, that doesn't work. Shout outs don't work. Follow for follow doesn't work. I was like, your
follow is my biggest pet peeve.
I was like, content needs to be your business card. That's what brings people in. Like, you can't get. I call them empty followers.
Not only that, so now we're getting into some social media stuff, which is kind of cool. When I want to talk about about that stuff too. But even like so many people do that follow for follow stuff, and not only is it like kind of cringy, but also like people get so obsessed with the numbers, okay, having more numbers. But what you really want, the numbers don't matter. What you really want is a core audience. If someone doesn't like my stuff, I don't want them to follow me. You know, like I want to be able to connect with whatever audience or following there is. I don't want just a big number, because having, I mean, and you see that, because you see that from people who have like bought follows and stuff, like they have 5,000 followers, but then you look at their posts and it has 10 likes on it. It's like, okay, you clearly or either this isn't an audience that followed you because they liked your work, and not only that too, and even seeing people's ratio of their follow to following,
it throws off your numbers. And I've always been a fan of gaining an honest following. I always want to know what my honest numbers are. So when it comes to like cheating ways, I remember like back in the day I was working on a project in LA and people wanted to run the video repeatedly overnight so that the view numbers would go up, so that more people would see it on YouTube and stuff like that. And I was adamantly against that stuff, because like, no, like, I want to see how it does naturally. I don't want to fiddle with the numbers in any way.
Yeah,
I'm not.
It doesn't help you. It literally only hurts you. And then people say, "Well, I don't want to have my account. It doesn't look good not having more people. Like, it looks even worse having more people, and you're not connecting with them."
Yeah,
like, that is worse.
Yeah,
it's all about engagement. Engagement is more important than like following or something like that. But yeah, so I guess just on so what advice? What I think direct advice can we give to people? Of our opinion, and we'd love to hear your opinions in the comments too, if you think what we're saying is totally off base or if we're crazy or anything, and if you have your own ideas. But what advice might you give people to try to advice that people might be able to use to make their work obviously puppetry and not accidentally misinterpreted as a bad ventriloquist because your mouth is moving, or a furry?
Oh God, what advice could I give them to clear that up? That I think they'll just come with time and numbers. Because I think we've talked about it before, off media and stuff, about how a lot of the puppetry,
like the amount of content you're producing, you mean, or the amount of people doing it?
I think it's the amount of people doing it. I think we just need more people just doing stuff in general, so that it becomes more common knowledge for viewers. Then it'll be more commonplace.
Yeah. Well, actually, an interesting example, just to again, which kind of adds to this problem, is yesterday I finally released a terrible video on my YouTube channel that I did years ago. It was a 48-hour film challenge, so those can always be a little rough for obvious reasons if you know anything about a 48. The whole thing's written and shot and edited in just 48 hours.
Yeah.
And not to mention we were throwing the curveball of musical, and we had to find a composer real quick and stuff. So it was a bear, but it was the best worst day ever.
Yeah.
And then you look at that's a complete puppet show. It's only like 5 minutes long, and it's all puppets. And I mean, again, there's no association with the puppeteers other than the credits at the end saying the names of the performers, right? It's not like it's me and Cameron and Matt and my other buddies at the end of the video saying, "Oh, we hope you liked our video, yada yada yada. I did this character, you did that character." So not only isn't that there, but also I'd argue to most of the audience, that's not why they clicked on the video. They came to watch a show. Yeah, and then like by the time it's over, chances are they've clicked off. You know, in the same way most people don't watch the credits unless they are wondering something like that.
Yeah, if there's something.
So, in that case, beyond what I just suggested, which maybe that is something we should do. Come on as herself at the end. What else could we do? I don't even know. You know,
to me, like I was gonna say, we talked about off stream about how a lot of puppeteers they're doing some brilliant stuff and brilliant work, but they're sharing the majority of their work in puppeteer groups. You have to understand in any art form, not just puppetry, in anything, yeah, it's easier to talk to your peers about these things, but in the long run, your peers are not your target audience.
Yes.
The Rolling Stones were never wondering why the Beatles weren't at all of their shows, is like my analogy. Like
Yeah.
the general public is actually like
Yeah.
what the audience that you're looking for.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get puppeteers to feel confident enough in their own work and their abilities to share their stuff regularly with people outside of the puppetry community.
Yeah, and you know what? And that's another humongous thing that I'm, a big stickler for, because and even within my puppet building group, one of my rules is to not repost things that was in another group, because that's what a lot of people are doing. They're just trying to share stuff with puppet people. Oh, these people like puppets. Let me show them my puppet things.
Yeah.
Again, like when we're talking about puppets, like that's more of, I feel like that's the technical term. It's a show, and these are characters. And who likes shows and characters? The general audience. So, like, if you did a little puppets show, it would make more sense to share it in a parenting group or something, rather than a puppetry group.
Yeah.
Now, just to be clear, I'm not recommending people to start spamming other groups. That spamming is never good. If you have a link and you post it in like 5 groups, you're spamming. Okay.
Yeah. I see that. Like,
you're not doing anybody any favors.
Yeah.
Okay? Not even yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
like people do that in puppetry groups. I'll see, because it'll show up in my Facebook feed as one notification, but you'll see that person post the same thing in 3 different groups in that same
it's like
notification. But then I'm like, but then I go to that person's personal page and I'm like, they haven't shared it there at all. Like it's only in the puppet group. So it's like I've been trying really hard to try and find ways just to motivate puppeteers to start doing something. And I do think that TikTok is the perfect platform for people to start doing stuff on social media and getting themselves out there, because it's such a playground, and half the conversation is there, and you're not starting with a blank slate, and they're only up to 60 seconds long. And like
am I wrong? I thought I heard there's an update now. You can do up to 3 minutes.
I think it's 3 minutes if you not natively though. Like if you make it outside of the app.
Yeah, then you like upload it. I see.
Upload up to 3 minutes, but you can still only do 60 seconds within the app. And I actually haven't seen any 3-minute videos yet.
Yeah, I haven't either. I actually saw a video that just told me that now you can do that. That's the only reason why I know. I thought that was interesting. No, absolutely. And that's a line that I use all the time whenever I'm talking to people on social media stuff about TikTok. Like, to me, TikTok is a playground. It is again, I've talked about this probably too much at this point, but really it's the only social media platform that doesn't give you a blank piece of paper.
Yep.
On Instagram, it's like, okay, what are you going to post today? You have to come up with something. YouTube, same thing. Facebook, same thing. TikTok, you see someone else's, you can duet it. You see someone else's, you can use the audio. You see someone else's, like, hey, that's a trend. Let me do the same movements or whatever. It's a dance. So you're starting with something, and it's can you do one of two things? Can you put your own twist on it, okay, or make it more you, right? Yeah, and that's what you can do. And TikTok is a great. I mean, especially if you are, and then this is going outside of puppetry. If you are a business and a brand, my gosh, you want to be on something like that right now. And again, and even mine, like I especially if you look at when I first started on TikTok, like I'm literally playing. Yeah. So it's just fun.
It's fun, and like you said, there's no blanks. Like I would say 95% of the videos that I've made on there, I didn't know I was going to make them until I saw the other half. It's literally I just sit there and I scroll and I go, I can do something with that one.
Yeah.
Like, and then I record it in a couple of minutes. I maybe do a couple of takes and go, okay, that's the one. Post it, done. Yeah. And it's set up in such a way that you can record multiples at a time, so you can sit down for like an hour and do like 10 of them.
Yeah.
And then just
put them in your draft folder.
Yeah, you can do the drafts, and then you can just post them later. So a lot of times I'll sit down and I'll do like 6, and then I post one, and then I wait a few hours, and then I'll just post another one. Like, so I try to post about 3 a day, but there's days where I'm not doing any because I have so many in my drafts, and people love them, and the puppet grabs them right away, you know. So as long as you make it engaging and you have good lighting and stuff, like, people will watch. And I mean, the case in point, I've been doing it for like 3.5 months. And I just broke 260,000 followers.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And I've never gotten that kind of following on any other platform.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, to me, like, I want to play around with other puppeteers on it that I just know personally and that I've worked with at Disney and stuff. Like, the people that I know really are waiting for some puppetry job to, like, fall in their lap. I feel like everybody's waiting, but I'm like, my God, if you guys pick up your puppet, we could plan out some really cool back and forths and like have a lot of fun with it. But
that's really, I mean, that's kind of going back to what you were talking about before, and I meant to jump in with that too, is that a lot of people are just waiting for the next thing, and not even just waiting, but other people want to be a part of something else rather than, like you said, really just like they do something. Because not only, I mean, it's easier to say than to do, but not only that, when you do something, it makes people want to work with you. You know, it's like, hey, John, I see your TikToks. They're amazing. Hey, let's do a project together, right?
Yep.
Rather than it's like, hey, oh, this guy's on Facebook. Oh, he did something 5 years ago. I wonder if he's still doing stuff. Let me ask. Like, no, it's not the way people's minds work. Unless you've already had that relationship with them and you've worked with them before and you've been waiting to work with them. It's like that does happen in that way, but you're not going to be discovered just waiting and commenting on people's stuff. You have to be creating work.
And then I try to tell people that even if tomorrow someone called me up and was like, I saw your stuff on TikTok, like, I want to do a series, the people that I would be calling are not the people who are waiting. I'm going to first run down the list of who are the people who are doing stuff right now. Those are the people that I want to work with and would want to, like, bring in on something. I'm like, who are the people that are doing some work, and then I know we're going to put the work in.
And you know, someone just put a comment here. I'm going to bring it up, and they said, and there's a lot of people that aren't necessarily leaders, but want to work with and support those who are.
Yes, that is totally true. And hello, Adjective Beaver. How are you? I know who that is.
You know who that is? You know, I think it's a good comment too, but again, you know, to be a little bit critical on that too, because obviously everyone's different. But like, if you are that person, it sounds like a really good reason why someone's waiting, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe that's being a little harsh on it, but
like, I don't think everybody needs to be.
Well, not everything needs a leader. Even like, again, like, look what you're doing. Mm-hmm. You're a puppetry group of one. You know, it's like, you don't have to necessarily lead something in order to be creating content, even if that is your goal. In the long term, kind of like we're talking, to work on someone else's stuff, you get there by creating work, right?
Yeah. Like, I think I was talking to somebody yesterday on Facebook, and they said that they're more interested in being like the helper role and stuff like that. They're like, I would much rather, you know, help someone else's idea, or, you know, give them support in that way. And I'm like, that's a great role to have. I think any content creator person would love to be in that role, because it's less risk. It's an easier role to be in. You're kind of standing on the side and then, like, offering up your opinion. Like, to me, I find that to be I think anybody would love that role more than having to be in charge of everything. Mm-hmm. But I was like, in order for that role to exist, someone needs to be in charge of something. Someone needs to be leading something. Someone needs to be starting something for that role to exist. And it's like, and I'm just actively looking for the other people who are just willing to start.
Yeah.
Who are the starters?
We keep bringing up to Jim Henson because it's the most mainstream example, but all those famous puppeteers who've worked on his projects might have been doing no puppetry, mainstream puppetry projects, if Jim didn't start it to begin with.
Oh, yeah.
So that's just kind of the mainstream example of what you're saying.
Yeah, it's like Jim was the only starter at that. Like, even during his time, he was really the only person starting things. And then when he passed, and it's apparent, like when he passed away, there wasn't like this divide and conquer that happened. It's just everything that he did or he had created just kind of slowly halted and stopped over time, because I don't feel like anyone else really stepped up and filled his shoes to be a leader. And now I feel like we live in a time where everybody's looking for the next gym.
Yeah.
Everybody wants the next gym, but at the same time, no one is letting anyone be the next gym.
That's such a good observation, and I believe when you say be the next gym, you don't mean, of course, with the Muppets.
No, just
it doesn't mean the next big puppetry thing that's associated with an individual.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I feel like everyone is very judgmental and hesitant of anybody who's showing any sort of initiative to want to try and fill that position.
Yeah.
It's not met with an embrace. It's met with a lot of cold judgment. And I feel like over the years of all the different projects that I've done, I feel like more puppeteers have been quiet and stood back and watched me from a distance and judged from a distance than actually been actively supporting anything that I was trying to make happen. I wonder who this guy think he is. Like, who's this person and what are they doing? And like, what is this? Like, that was more of the reaction.
Yeah.
Like, hey, what are you guys doing? That's really cool. Like, nobody like took like a genuine interest. It was more like a passive.
Yeah.
Felt through Flip Toppers and Tipsy Kangaroo and like all of those projects that I've been working on.
Yeah. Just a couple people were asking too what your handle was. I'll put it right here. Is that spelled correctly?
Tipsy Roo, yeah. Yep.
Tipsy Roo. So there is John Jennings. If you want to check out his TikTok stuff, it is pretty cool. But I'll leave that up for a couple minutes. But just to go off of that, one thing I'm wondering is that even possible to have a person associated with a brand that big? Because I think there's a couple problems with that. First of all, if some big show, or I'm sorry, not show, some big what would you call the producer? Something like Netflix, something like HBO. They want to buy a show, right?
Yeah.
They don't care who the puppeteers are. They just want to buy a good show, right? Mm-hmm. So, like I think, let's say you created a show and you did want to be like, this almost sounds kind of weird, like ego driven, like be the face of it. And it's not because like we think someone should. I mean, again, hopefully if you've watched this far, you understand what we're talking about. Why we think it's important to have a person associated with the brand. It's to make the art of puppetry be seen more as puppetry instead of something else. Okay, but I guess what I'm saying is some big brand like Netflix or HBO or whatever has little incentive themselves to have a show that is that much associated with an individual, right?
Yeah.
What do they have to gain from it? You know?
Yeah.
And not only that, they probably have a lot of reasons to specifically not want it associated with a person. And, and even evidence of that is something like Henson Company with Jim Henson, and even lots of other cartoon things. Like when things change voices or change puppeteers, maybe the deep lay audience doesn't realize that, but there's a lot of people that do. They notice, if they don't know why it's different, they notice a difference, right?
Yeah.
And by associating a face with these characters, a human person, you're just potentially just putting a timeline on your brand or show, right?
Yeah. And I think like the Muppets is a perfect example of struggling with that timeline, where the Muppets, were so tied to the original performers, because I always believe when you create any sort of puppet character or animated character, voice, like you're putting a part of like a trait of yourself under a magnifying glass. You're like expanding on that idea. And to have the Muppets change hands so many times, and now they're being performed by people who didn't originally create those characters, there is a disconnect, and I think it's just going to become more and more over time, because these super talented puppeteers who are doing these characters but I think it would be so much more engaging and connecting if they were given the freedom to create their own characters instead of having to, like, people always ask me, like, would I want to work for the Muppets? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm on the fence because I think I would be stressing myself out trying to be someone else's character and following those lines and trying to be Frank Grover or be Jim.
I agree with you, but Disney, if you're watching, he will say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a paycheck, I meant.
Right. I love what you're saying. I think it makes a lot of sense, but I think it flies in the face of logic of running a business. Right? It does. It just does. Right?
Yeah.
Again, I'm not being critical on you. It's just like, as an artist, it's like, oh yes, that's what it needs to be. As a business person, it's like, are you crazy?
Oh yeah, permit.
Walt Disney originally did the Mickey Mouse voice. He passed away. Let's get a new mascot, right? Are you crazy? Are you crazy? Yeah. That's a gross example, but yeah.
Not like retire. It's just it's hard for me that in 2020 the Muppets are still the measurement of the success of puppetry.
Yeah,
like. Okay if the Muppets can't, like, people don't want to like work with puppetry because they're like, well, if the Muppets can't be successful with a project, why would any other project be? Because like it's the Muppets, and it's like it's hard that's the scale. Like,
you know what? And this is gonna see this. I'm not talking about the Muppets in this because I think there's some people that might not like what I'm going to say. And this is getting really deep into it. It's like sometimes things do need an end. Though, is like and just thinking about other puppetry shows that I do like a lot, like was it Greg the Bunny? Have you seen that?
I've seen like bits of it here and there. I've never,
it's been so long since I've seen it, and I don't remember very many specific. I just remember that I liked it a lot. If it was going on for 10, 15 years, I'm like, do you need more than like 3 years?
It's like the Simpsons.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like the Simpsons have been going on forever, and they're on like what?
How it works.
You're like, do you need more of the Simpsons? Like, I don't know.
Well, I think it's interesting though. I think that's a good example, a good counterpoint to my example that I was giving, because I think it can work. Because something like the Simpsons is such a commentary on life and politics, in a way. But something like, but not everything needs to be. You just have a story and a message to say. And again, just to go back to what you were talking about with some of those Muppet characters and having people create new ones, like they have done that too as well, whereas like, Pepe is a character that people love. Pepe.
Yeah.
He's a lot of people's favorite Muppets, and he's a new one,
Yeah. You've gotten a few like Bobo and Walter, and like they've gotten a few new ones in there.
Yeah.
Over the years.
But then again, also when you do that too, you're just taking away screen time from some of the other main characters.
Yeah,
right? Which is that leads into a benefit to what you were saying earlier.
Yeah, it's like I'd be okay with Kermit still being around, but I don't know. Like, I don't know. I'm on the fence with like what the future of the Muppets are, or like what they can do to revitalize that to what it was.
Yeah. You know what? Again, I'm almost a little uncomfortable with how much we've talked about the Muppets on this. This, just to be clear, this is not like a Muppet conversation. It's very connected to our topic because it's the most prominent example. But then again, in a way, I think like we kind of talked about in the beginning, it's kind of again, since Jim passed away, it's kind of helped create this problem of not seeing puppets as puppetry, because I mean it just rings in my head what Frank Oz always says is like, he's like, I don't do voices, I do characters, right?
Yeah.
And again, that's the mentality you want to have as a performer, right? So these are characters, they're not puppets, they're not voices, these are characters.
Yeah.
But again, like when it's done right, it's not seen as puppetry.
Yeah. Yeah, when it's true to form. Like, and I have people come into my live streams on TikTok and ask me to do the voice while not holding the puppet, or to switch the voices on the puppets if I'm holding a different puppet. Like, oh, do Gordon's voice while you're holding pancakes, or like whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I've always done that thing where it's like, no, well, I don't do voices. Like, these are characters that I'm performing. Like, I've taken on that mentality from Frank, where it's like, if I'm not holding the character, I'm not going to do the voice because I don't.
Sure. Yeah, again, I agree with that perspective 1,000%. I think I generally tend to be a little bit more forgiving when people say that, because I know what they mean. It's kind of like when a lot of people call your puppet a Muppet. It's like they just mean, by them calling your puppet a Muppet, what they mean is that's a nice puppet.
Yeah,
that's what they mean, because it's kind of like again, Muppet is like saying calling all tissues Kleenex, right?
Yeah, it's like I think it's like just anytime you have like this style of puppet, people.
And just to say that's something that I've noticed culturally. I don't think that's something Disney's trying to do. I think they like their brand recognition, and they'd rather people not say that. But again, I don't see it. I try not to, when someone's complimenting my work, my first thing is not to try to correct them necessarily on their terminology. Not always. In the right case, there's a right time to do it, and there's sometimes it's kind of like I learned this in acting. Take the note. Take the note. Okay, great. Yeah. We don't need your opinion on it.
Yeah, but it's like, get back to like what can we do to make puppetry more mainstream? I just want to find more people. I want to know where the starters are. I want to know who is trying to push and innovate, and like who are the people that I can. Yeah, we don't even have to like collaborate with on a project.
Yeah,
just someone that you can reach out to and talk to who is trying to make it more mainstream. I just don't think we have a very strong.
Well, not only that, too. I mean, I'm only compelled to do that when someone who is grinding too.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, can I be part of your thing? They're like, oh, let me see some of your work. And they have very little or almost anything. I was like, you don't seem hungry.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, show me some sort of initiative. Like, get out there and start doing something. Like, even like with TikTok collaborations. I mean, if there's a puppeteer out there who wants to collaborate with me on TikTok, like, I'm up for it. But you need to be on the app for a while. And I was like, okay, if you can put out 3 videos a day for a month, then let's talk about
collaborating. Let's talk. Like, oh, that's a lot. Like, oh, get over it.
Yeah. I put out 3 to 5 a day. So it's like, I'm not asking them to do something I'm not already doing.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm not just going to hand you an audience and then you flake out in a week. Like, I was like, I need to see some sort of drive and initiative. So start doing something.
Yeah, I don't even see it as handing an audience, because audiences generally don't really work that way anyway.
No.
But yeah, what you're saying, again, it's just a matter of quality and hunger. That's what I want to see. And if there's, the hunger is more important because the quality is subjective and it can grow in time. Okay. Yeah. The hunger, I mean, I guess that can grow, but you either kind of have it or you don't.
Yeah. It's like, I want to see some drive and some passion. And I'm not like, I was talking about this yesterday with somebody. I was like, I'm not in the position where I want to teach somebody how to be driven and passionate. Like,
yeah.
I think
we got a controversial comment here that I can't wait to mention. Okay. So 3 videos a day, you have no job, family, nor house cleaning. And just one thing I want to say.
Yeah.
Regardless of that is true for anybody, we're talking with 3 videos that are 8 to 60 seconds long.
Yeah, they can be anywhere between 3 and 60 seconds.
Yeah. And again, not a big edited thing, because it's just something on your phone that you just do. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe a filter. That's not a big commitment.
If you look at my content on TikTok, the puppets are barely moving anywhere.
Yeah.
It's just me commentating over something with little gestures.
Yeah. Anyone who thinks that's a big commitment, or can't do it because they have a family or a job or something, it's like, you check yourself. Okay?
Yeah, I was like, that's not the person I'm looking to collaborate with.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Oh, definitely not.
But it's like, and like I was saying, like earlier, if you may have come in later, like with TikTok, like when you do have downtime, like you can bank a bunch of them. So you're like, oh, I do have an hour. I can bank 10, and then I can post 3 today, and then tomorrow I'm not going to be able to do it, but I still have 7. so I can post 3 again tomorrow, and then I'll be able to film another chunk. So then I can maybe do another 5, and now my numbers are back up to 9. Like, so you can sit there and like, there's days where I'm not actually actively doing it for 3-4 days at a time because I have backup.
Yeah.
Like,
no, exactly. There's one thing I want to say on that too, because sometimes people do that. They grind, then they get a little burnt out or they miss a day. And then when they miss, then they're like, oh, well, why bother going back? And I think that's the most important. As much as we're saying, post as much as you can, you also equally, so you have to be hard on yourself to do the work.
Yeah.
But also, I'm big on this. You have to equally be able to forgive yourself when you don't.
Oh yeah, the burnout.
If you don't forgive yourself for missing or taking a month off, even though maybe you shouldn't, if you don't go back to it, it's all worthless anyway.
Yeah.
Even if you take a break or something happens, go back to it. Don't question. Oh, people like, I screwed up the algorithm, or I did all this work and now it's not working. Just get back into it. Forgive yourself.
Yeah, burnout is real. You have to know that starting off. And when I say like 3 videos for a month, like you can work up to that.
Per day.
Oh, per day.
Not
Like
per month.
sorry, per day. Like you can build up to. There's nothing that says like we need to start collaborating in September. Like you can start by doing one a day.
The goal shouldn't be to collab. That's not the goal.
Oh, yeah, that shouldn't be to collaborate. But like it should be like, can I do 1 a day?
Yeah.
Like, can I bank up enough that I can post 1 a day? And then how easy is the content? Okay, now I can work myself up to 2 a day.
Yeah.
Okay. And then 3 a day. And then like there's days where I think I'm not going to post any, and I'm scrolling through and there's so many quick ones that I can do right away that I end up posting 5 or 6 in one day.
Yeah.
And I thought I was going to post maybe 1.
Yeah.
Like, so the
leads back to the inspiration is built into the app.
Yeah. TikTok is so ridiculously easy to make content. But I think a lot of people are just scared of the app. There's a lot of controversy behind it. It's always in the news. Is it going to get banned or is it not? So like it has a bad rap on that end. But if you actually download the app and spend time on it, I don't spend time on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter because to me they're boring. Like TikTok is like where everything is. And it's so much fun. And there's so many talented people
that they built into that app that makes it work so well and why it blew up is discoverability. Okay.
Yeah.
Because when you go onto Instagram or Facebook, you're seeing things that your friends posted. There's no discovery section. I think Instagram kind of has one, but it's not compelling. It's not great. Okay.
So hard.
This is like it's like the what's it called, the bingo, like the way they shake it up. Like you have no idea what you're gonna get.
Oh.
And there's something. It's like you know what? It's probably the same mechanics behind why people do the lottery and keep pulling. It's like the next one's gonna be good.
Yeah.
The next one's gonna be good.
Yeah, you have no idea what you're gonna get, and then even as like a content creator, like it's that same addiction because you don't know what's gonna take off. So there's times where I'm like, I do like a little video and I'm like, oh, that one's going to be brilliant. And then it doesn't really go anywhere. And then one that I was kind of like, okay, like that one all of a sudden will get tens of thousands of likes. And you're like, so even on the content creation side, you never know what's going to take off and what's not.
Yeah.
And so like there's that excitement about it too. And there's that drive of like, what's going to make a video work. But once you actually start, playing around on TikTok with the idea of like, I'm here to create content, like what can I create?
Yeah.
It becomes an inevitable constant playground of just looking at things and once the algorithm is the smart thing is like when you go on there at first, like it's a little weird, like you don't it's very, very random, but once the algorithm starts learning what you like just due to like watch time and likes and comments and things like that, it starts giving me gold on like a regular basis where I'm like, it knows what I'm looking for. So I'm just like almost every video, I'm like, I might be able to do something with that.
Wow, that's great.
I might be able to do something with that. Like I bank a lot of videos in a day. just scrolling it for like 30 minutes.
Yeah, I don't get much inspiration for stuff like that, probably because of the algorithm for me. Because a lot of the stuff when I'm casually watching stuff, I tend to watch like people making something and stuff. So it's not necessarily something I would have a character react with. So I tend to get a lot of like that kind of like DIY stuff, which is sometimes you can get a little inspiration from it.
Yeah,
I guess I'm definitely more of a consumer of it than a producer of it.
Yeah, for me, like I'm looking for what can I commentate on, or you'll just find somebody. Like I have people who I regularly go back to. There's this guy called a cook named Matt. And people really enjoy the duets where Gordon is commenting on his little short cooking tutorials. So even if I can't think of anything, I know I can go to a cook named Matt's page and he's posting 3 to 5 videos a day. And out of those 3 to 5, I'm going to find one where Gordon can. So you find little series for yourself within that. Like you'll see if you look at my profile, there's a few people where I go back and I'm doing multiple duets with them because I'm creating my own little side series within my videos.
That's awesome.
Which is a lot of fun. Like and I think it's as a puppeteer, like I have a lot of fun with that app because the other people they're not making stuff with the intention of there being a duet. They're being themselves in a very natural state. And then adding the puppet to it, I think really creates a really cool dynamic because they're not actors acting in a scene and necessarily setting something up. Like a lot of times it's just me commentating on someone who's legitimately cooking and giving a tutorial, and then I'm throwing in side commentary. And I like how you can get so many people with a very genuine approach on your side.
No, that's great. And I hope this conversation proves the to not I hope it ages well and TikTok. So it's funny, we're gonna either look back on this in a year and be like, can you believe we even mentioned TikTok wasn't gonna be a thing? Or we're gonna say like, TikTok, do you remember that?
Yeah,
like based on what's going on, it really could go either way. I think it's gonna be around. I do think it will be.
I don't think it's going anywhere. I really
don't. Too big. It's too valuable. I think they would just sell it to Microsoft or Apple or one of these companies.
Yeah, I mean they have to by September 15th, I think.
Yeah,
I saw somebody in the chat say like Gordon Smuter. This character's name is Gordon. It was built by Gordon Smuter, and it's named after Gordon Smuter.
And it looks like him too.
So yeah, this is a Puppet Forge puppet. His name is Gordon, and he's named after Gordon. So that's like t-shirt and merch for him stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I like the merch and stuff. That's cool.
Yeah, it's named after Gordon Smuter. So that is a connecting point.
yes.
But it's I don't know. Like to me, TikTok it would be a great place to start for anybody in the comments who is looking for just to get their feet wet with just creating content if it's something they've never done before.
Yeah, and just to tie this back into the whole original topic and what why we started this conversation is our original. Let me bring up the question here. The original thing that we were saying is is this idea of as puppeteers. No, not me and you, but as a puppetry community, can we fix puppetry? And again, to restate what that problem was, is that people would often see your content and see I'm sure a lot of other puppeteers have experienced this, and people say, "Oh, why is your mouth moving?" and or wondering if the puppet character you're using is actually a furry. Why is ventriloquism and furries the first thing people, the lay public, jump to instead of puppetry, what it actually is? So what can we do to make puppetry a more known and prevalent art form, obvious when they're watching it?
I think it's just lack of exposure. It's definitely a lot easier with millennials because we grew up with Puzzle Place, Eureka's Castle. Like puppetry was even like the tail end, like Bear in the Big Blue House, like things like that. But it seems like Gen Z is very out of tune when it comes to puppetry. Like their puppets, that's where like Jeff Dunham starts, and furries are very prominent because I mean, if you look at Henson, like even they like abandoned practical puppetry and started doing things like Sid the Science Kid and Dinosaur Train, where it was more CG. So like when you think of like in the last 20 years, what is a prominent puppet show kids watched? I can't think of one. unless the Muppets did a movie. Like that's it. Like it's just, I think it's just lack of exposure to the art form. So this is our time to rise up and start creating stuff and get that exposure in there and wedge ourselves back into the mainstream and be like, this is an art form that exists and people still do and is. I get people who are fascinated. Like when I do the live streams, I'm doing Q&As. People are fascinated with the art form, and actually some people have bought puppets because of it.
Yeah.
So it's not impossible. Like I'm seeing results. I'm just looking for other people who are willing to join me in that venture of like just trying to wedge our way back in.
Yeah, and too, like not everyone. So here's long story short, we're trying to encourage puppeteers to produce as much content as they can, especially performing content, and especially to associate themselves as humans with the work. Would you say that's pretty accurate?
Yeah. Just I just want people to do stuff, and I want them to want to do stuff. As someone who's always like trying to create stuff, I'm always looking for that like-minded person who wants to do it too.
Yeah.
And after 14 years, the list is really short. And I wish it was so much longer. I wish that there were too many people to collaborate with.
Yeah.
I wish there were too many people to support in it.
No, I agree.
But it's so few and far between. But I'm trying to do my part to like motivate people to want to do it.
Yeah, and the thing is too, I know we're encouraging people to produce more content, but I understand that there are those people who just want to do it for themselves, and that's fine too. But if you are comfortable posting stuff, you really, really should. Okay, and really, I think people give some pushback on this. Quantity is really what's important too. Okay, because I think one problem that people tend to have is over editing, and because of perfection, they want to be perfect. And one of my theories is that perfection is the antithesis of creativity, because it just slows things down and makes people sometimes good enough is good enough. Okay, and just because it's not perfect for you doesn't mean it's not perfect for the audience.
We're our own worst.
Again, I'm not saying do schlock and don't try. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that sometimes, and also by letting things go like that a little bit, by taking just loosening up a little bit, okay, it gives you more to discover. Because I imagine you can even experience this. Maybe you have posted a couple that weren't perfect, but they've hit in a way you didn't expect.
Oh yeah, there's ones where I almost didn't post them at all.
Yeah.
Getting ready to post it, and I go, no, you know what? Like maybe I don't think like this. No, like this is gonna do it. And one of the first ones I ever did was that I did it in 2 takes, and I went, I don't know, it's something my sister sent me, and I was like, I don't know, like I get like, you know what? Fine, I need something to post today. I haven't posted enough. Yeah, I'll just post it, and that ended up being my first one that just shot off.
Isn't that funny? Yeah. No. My other buddy too. He's an artist. He's on TikTok. He's at the Red Wizard. And he is a collage artist, and he just cuts out magazines and does this amazing art by doing collage. Yeah. And he had one of his. I mean, he started posting like at least once a day, and it was just a normal account, maybe 1,000 people following him or whatever, or less at first. Obviously, way less at first. It was just a couple, like 30 people at first, and then he posted just one a day, and one of them just. It got like 2 million views in one day.
Yeah. I had one that I gained 100,000 followers in 2 days. The video has almost like 1.5 million likes.
Yeah,
it's one I did 2 months ago, and I did it on a whim.
Yeah,
and
it's remarkable, but my reason for pointing that out is not look how impressive my friend is. My reason for pointing that out is if he had 100 videos, if I went to him and said, hey, look, here's 100 videos that you created, one of them blew up and has 2 million views. Guess which one it is? There's no way he would have known which one it is.
Yeah.
No way within his own content he could have guessed which one would have been. And not only that, if I told him and said it's this one, he would have been, no way. Again, you don't always expect. I mean, people put too much. I mean, artist's intention is important. It's very important. However, in the eyes of the viewers, of a general audience, I mean, how someone's going to respond to anything you do is something you have virtually no control over. And the more you can come to a realization of that, the better off you'll be, and it'll make it easier for you to let go and just create.
Yeah.
And defer judgment, and not have that little voice in the back of your head saying, this isn't good enough, don't post it, or that's a dumb idea, or don't do that.
Yeah. And again, like, we've talked about TikTok a lot, but I think that's a good playground to figure out what works and what doesn't work. Like, you can do something that takes absolutely no effort, and you can do something that takes a lot of effort. Like, you can just sit there and constantly do things like that, and you don't have to overthink it. And I do really want to push that platform.
I absolutely agree with you. And then for anyone, a couple people have commented asking for the TikToks. Ours are down below right here at Adam Kreutinger and at Tipsy Roo if you want to check out that stuff. Is there any final words we think we want to leave people with? Other than I think we kind of covered most of the stuff.
I think we covered a lot of. I mean, I've been seeing a couple of things like in the comments that have popping up. Like, it seems like a lot of puppeteers don't live close together, and I think that's one of the glories of the internet is you can work around that.
Yeah, let me tell everyone a secret. Me and John are not in the same room right now.
Yeah, right.
Not in the same room.
I could sit here with a puppet character, and we could be puppet characters sitting here talking to each other.
High five, John.
Yeah. Wait, there we go. But yeah, it's. Like I always found that like a low budget or restrictions are like a creativity's natural habitat.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
You can totally work around restrictions, and we've even talked about a series, like doing a series together where we're not even on screen together. Like,
I'm excited for it too. I just got to finish one more build I'm working on, and I'm going to jump right into it.
Yeah, we're never together. Like, so there are things that you can do to work around that.
And the one thing too, just to go back to the play element of this, because so many people have a puppet, like, oh, I don't know what to do with it. Just do anything, okay? And that might sound like bad advice to people too, but you discover. The only way to understand your character is to perform it more and do things with it. Then you can say, hey, well, that didn't really work. Hey, but this kind of worked. Or people like this, I didn't expect that. And then you can lean into those things. So you can't edit a blank piece of paper, Yeah. Don't expect everything to be perfect at first. Just create, evolve. And not only that, audiences love to grow with you.
Oh, yeah. There's
the evolution of your work.
Where's this character? Pancakes, the one that I use the most.
There's someone in this group, someone in this chat said, everyone copy and paste the word pancakes. And then like a ton of people just started posting the word pancakes.
Yeah. Like this character, for the longest time, his name has been Pancakes forever. The moment I saw him, I named him Pancakes. I rarely used him for the first few years I had him. He was part of my live show. He didn't have a set voice or personality or anything. So when I started doing TikTok, I started using him exclusively, and he was just reacting to things with just like expression and stuff like that. There was no voice. And then I started like slowly giving him just noises instead of a voice. And then in my live streams, we started actually workshopping a voice together.
Oh, really? I was watching the live stream. That's how you do voice room. I was like, I didn't know he had a voice.
Yeah, like we've been building it on the live, and there are people in my community who know I'm working on the voice for him. And it'll be like, ooh, I like that one, or like maybe a little high. Like, I like the one you did before. Like, so we're actually evolving this character together with the audience.
Yes.
With voice and all that kind of stuff. And then there's ones like Gordon, like the one where I did where he sang for the first time. That's the one that really hit. And that was just me like, well, what if I tried him singing? And now people ask for him to sing all the time. And that was just me just deciding like, oh yeah, maybe I'll have him sing. I don't know.
Yeah.
And now people love it when I do singing ones. And that's just something that I tried. Like, so there's risk has reward on there if you're just willing to play.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, too. And just, we have another comment here that someone has. Are there any female puppeteers I can follow, too? I'm having trouble finding other women in the biz. Thank you for the suggestion. I'm going to assume this is all they meant on TikTok. And one you can definitely follow on TikTok is Kelsey Brady.
Yes.
One Brady lady.
One Brady
lady. She does. I love the character Stan she does, and a couple other characters on there too. And it's definitely a one to follow. And again, just to give another shout out to Chris. Again, I hate to butcher the name, but Chris Palomari.
Paul Mary, like the name Paul and Mary.
Paul Mary. That's a good easy way to remember it. Chris Palomari, and his handle is Puppets by Palomari.
Yeah,
on TikTok. So definitely check those ones out. Toily is on there at Toily.
Toily is on there. There's one. Jinx Monsters, another one on there. The Toppets, Scraps TV. I can't. Outside of one Brady Lady, I can't think of another female puppeteer on there. There's a couple of ventriloquists.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm good friends with Landon Harvey, who's on there. A big ventriloquist. He's a ventriloquist.
Christine Berger is on there. She's a female ventriloquist who's done like TV and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know any other like female hand and rod puppeteers outside of.
Yeah. And if you guys know any, please put their handles or links in the comments as well, because we love more people to be able to find them, discover them, and put your own there too, so you guys can maybe follow each other. But anyway, good. I think we solved the problem.
Oh yeah. Just get out there, and I just want to inspire people to get out there and do stuff. And if you're doing stuff, like, find me on social media and point me in the direction of the stuff you're doing so that I can check it out. And like I just want more people doing stuff. Just go out there and play. Like, help us get the word out there that these exist.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, if you guys enjoyed this little chat too, and you want to see us do another topic on puppetry or arts or social media, let us know a specific topic, and maybe if you're up for it, John, we could have another puppet chat sometime. Yeah. And all right, guys. Well, thanks so much, and thanks for your time today, John.
Yeah, you got it. Thanks for having me.
All right, bye, guys.